Veritas.com.
Hello, everyone. This is James O'Keefe, and you're listening to a special edition of On the Inside, live from West Palm Beach, Florida, at our new headquarters. That's right, live. Are we good? Good. Thumbs up from the crew. Here we go. We got R.C. Maxwell. R.C., are you there?
I sure am.
Hey, R.C. Welcome to our show. We've got quite a show. We got an hour and a half with you all this evening, and we are going to take you inside Veritas. I'm going to start off by talking about something Joe Rogan said yesterday on the air. And Justin, if you can go play that Rogan clip for us, please.
Video of Epstein's library, right?
I mean, his undercover videos were amazing.
Incredible.
And then he got ousted at Project Veritas, right? And then went.
I wonder what happened there. Like, I'd like to know what the story there is, because there's no official story. The guy who releases everything, why wouldn't he release that?
So this is Rogan on the air yesterday asking the question, why doesn't James O'Keefe release the tapes of what happened inside of Project Veritas? And simultaneous to him asking that rhetorical question, we actually did release the tapes inside Project Veritas. And for those of you listening, you have a special treat, because this is an hour-long movie. And by the way, R.C. Maxwell is on with us. We have a bunch of guests. Alex Jones is going to be joining us, actually, in about 20 minutes. We've got Laura Loomer coming out. We got R.C. Maxwell. But R.C., are you there?
Yeah, I sure am, Jim.
I just wanted to ask you, because I know you just watched the film. You're in the film, and you endured all this. And we're going to get to you more here in about 30 minutes. And we're going to play some of this. Before we get to playing the clips from the film and the deposition videos, R.C., what's your reaction after watching this movie that you lived through?
Well, I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to spoil the lead, as they say. But, you know, when I was filming the documentary and I was told the shocking news about board members and things they were involved in, I was blown away by that. And, you know, obviously seeing that up on my big screen in my office was surreal. You know, this is the third documentary I've ever been in my life, and this one is obviously bittersweet. The first documentary I've cried in, and you know, I just think it was it seemed like it just happened, but at the same time, this also seemed like it was ages ago, Project Veritas. So the whole thing is very surreal because of my proximity to it. However, the same themes in my life that I encounter, doing the right thing, justice, exposing, all these themes, you know, came up here within this situation. And it's shocking to me that a company whose motto is be brave and do something, only very few of us were brave enough to do something.
Well, RC, let's go through some of these clips. We have about 20 things, and RC, you're very knowledgeable about this. We're going to play deposition footage from the board members at Project Veritas. Joe Rogan asking, why won't O'Keefe release the videos? Well, and we have, and we are, and we will, live on the inside with James O'Keefe. Let's go to the deposition clip of, this is board member of Project Veritas, George Skakel, talking about his business investments in Pfizer Pharmaceutical. At the time, we were doing a story on Pfizer. Play cut one. Cut two. Go ahead.
You would consider it to be in the medical field.
Petrogen could be sold to a big pharma
Like Pfizer.
like Pfizer.
Now, for those of you listening, he's saying Petrogen could be sold to a big pharmaceutical company like Pfizer. Petrogen, which is a company that we're now learning, and we're just learning this in the last few days, is a company that is Bradley Woods & Co. Limited, Petrogen Incorporated. These were board members at Project Veritas soliciting money from donors, from board members, from themselves for business investments. Let's go to the next clip. This is another clip. How much money did you invest in each of Matt Tierman, the board members' companies? Play the clip.
Invest in each of Matt Tierman's companies.
I don't think that's any of your business.
Are you refusing to answer the question?
Yes.
Refusing to answer the question. I've never seen that in all of my years in litigation. A witness literally refusing to answer the question, how much money? Let's go to the next clip. This is also a clip about how much money was invested. This
Board, did you disclose?
This is me asking the board member on Easter weekend, did you disclose these potential conflicts of interest when you solicited these investments and made these investments?
Medical companies?
At the time I was on your board, I didn't.
When did you begin investing in Matt Tierman's companies?
A few years ago.
While you were on the board?
Yes, I think I was on the board then.
I want to talk about your investments in
I want to
medical
talk
companies.
about you.
Is it all about money?
Too bad you can't afford that.
The board member stands in front of his massive mansion in Connecticut and tells me that I can't afford his house. Oh, there's a lot that is said in that statement, isn't there? Many people reacting to this film saying that says so much. We asked the board member in the deposition, if you're just tuning in, these are the Project Veritas tapes. The truth inside the truth. The truth inside Project Veritas. This next clip, let's go to, this is clip 5. This is about how do you define conflicts of interest when you're on a board of directors. Play this clip. And the first few seconds of that clip we can't hear, so play that again if you could. Just the first few seconds are muted. Play it again.
How do you define conflict of interest?
Oh, I don't know. Give me a dictionary and I'll read you the definition.
How do you define conflict of interest? I don't know. Get me a dictionary and I'll read you the what type of person talks this way in federal court? What's our next clip? What's that clip? Okay, now you're listening live to James O'Keefe take you into the federal court depositions of the Project Veritas board members. They sued, so Project Veritas sues me, and they say, and in the lawsuit against me, their founder, they say, owe them money. We asked the board members under oath, how much money does James O'Keefe owe you? They're asked, and this is what they say. Play the clip.
What you owe first, and then we can start talking about it. I'm interested to know how much James O'Keefe owes you.
Oh, $785,023.
How?
The witness, the board member, proceeds to just make up a number under oath flippantly. Literally just lies under oath. And so he just makes up a random, I think it's like $780-some thousand. Play it again.
$785,023.
How did you arrive at that figure?
With a very, very complicated algorithm I cannot reveal because it's confidential.
Wow. Just flippant, total perjury, making up numbers under oath. If you're just tuning in, we are taking you through the federal deposition transcripts, exhibits in the lawsuit, taking you inside the organization I found. Let's go to the next one. This is a board member. One of the board members, Joe Barton. Let's go back to that one, please. Offering an employee a raise if I'm removed. Offering what it appears to be a bribe to restructure the company to remove James O'Keefe. The undercover journalist says, I don't know how this works. What's the solution? Let's go to the next screenshot. You get a raise. You get a raise to restructure the organization without James. This is board member Joe Barton offering a raise to an undercover journalist in exchange for removing me. Now, what's interesting about this, and let's go to the next one, and if for those of you listening on the Spaces, I know you can't see this, but we're live streaming on Instagram and YouTube, and we're taking you through the story of what happened here. This is an email obtained in the lawsuit from board member Matthew Tierman. I'm going to read this to you. I know you can't see it if you're on X, but you can see it on Instagram and YouTube. And this is a direct quote from Matthew Tierman in an email to the board of Project Veritas. Quote, by the way, pardon the obscenity. This is rated R, by the way. If you don't like it, then you could get off of the stream. I did not write this. This is nonfiction. Truth is stranger than fiction. Quote from Matt Tierman to the board of Project Veritas, dated May 30th, 2023. I agree in practice, since none of the board here did anything illegal or promoted doing anything illegal, we did not auction off James' girlfriend undergarments, despite Joe Barton's suggestion in a group text to all of us. In April, cooler heads prevailed. So this is Matthew Tierman saying that Barton suggested that we auction off James's girlfriend's undergarments. Quote, nor did any of us sexually harass any female employees, unless texting a female employee in February offering a raise would qualify, in which case that would be grossly problematic and might lead to future legal problems. This is very interesting. This is a board member, Matt Tierman, accusing another board member, Joe Barton, of sexual harassment. Let's go to the next screenshot. We have Alex Jones waiting here. I'm going to get to him in a minute. This is so obscene I can't even say aloud what I'm looking at, and I won't. This is an email sent from one of the Project Veritas board members, Matthew Tierman, to one of my chief technology officers at OMG. I can't even read it out loud. But it says, blank dumpstering and guzzling. We're recruiting a CTO. This is disgusting. This is outrageous. And you wanted to know what happened at Project Veritas. And I'm telling you what happened. I'm showing you what happened. Taking you inside exhibits we obtained in the litigation of the organization against me. I can't even say it out loud. It's disgusting. Pornographic obscenities from board members directed at my employees here at OMG. Let's go to the next one. For those of you who are watching, you could read this for yourself. It's disgusting. I'm not going to say it out loud. Go to the next one. Okay, pause. This is board member George Skakel. Play it from the beginning. When you play the first few seconds, we can't hear it, so we have to manually pause it 1 second in. And this is board member George Skakel talking about board member Matthew Tierman, calling him crazy.
He pissed it, O'Keefe.
Why?
I don't know.
Have you explored that with him?
I told him he's crazy.
Matt Tierman.
Yeah.
Why did you tell me he's crazy?
I think it's unhealthy to let oneself be consumed by hate?
It's unhealthy to let someone be consumed by hatred. Why is it that these board members are consumed by hatred? Could it be that we know too much? We have too much information about these investments, about the money? There's a lot more to go through here. We are breaking news here on the air in the movie On the Inside with James O'Keefe, talking about the truth inside Veritas, the truth inside the truth. Breaking news. Board members of Project Veritas had co-investments together, business relationships, companies that could be, quote, could be sold to Pfizer, unquote. That was the company that we were investigating 2 years ago. We continue to investigate. Potential conflicts of interest, and a bombshell movie released yesterday at O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. We've got so much to go through, but I think we have Alex Jones with us, is on the air. Alex, you there?
I'm right here.
Hey, Alex, I know you and I went back and forth over the last few weeks on a number of issues, but first, I just want your reaction to, I know what I sent you here with this new information about Project Veritas.
I mean, I think it's a really huge story. Everybody knows you were Project Veritas and your team was, and I really wasn't surprised by the information that came out, because as soon as I saw your Pfizer report, where you got their head of global mRNA and admit that they had viruses they had made on the shelf with COVID-19, COVID things to have an endless business model. We've seen Peter Daszak say that in 2019 in an interview, kind of hiding in plain view. So as soon as I saw you break that, people couldn't believe it was real at first. Of course, it was real. You look the guy up. I said, that's it. They're gonna put O'Keefe in jail or kill him or shut down Veritas. And obviously, he was such a thorn on their side and such a game changer that they had to do whatever they had to do with whisper campaigns and all the rest of it. And then that's how the system works. What I've gone through with the Democratic Party and all these groups has come out now learned targeted by Obama in 2013 under Comey's orders or direction. Once Comey got in, then we got set that with the Trump administration a few months ago, and everything's come out of the Justice Department filing the lawsuits against me and rigging the court cases and everything. And now there's a criminal investigation of that, I'm told, and we got civil suits going on. This is what they do. This is how the Black Ops, the Justice Department, the spy crowd, the CIA. We've had undercover CIA guys be exposed, being involved with them to me. So I mean, this is what I've been through. So I absolutely, you said we've been back and forth a few weeks. I love your work. I think you're one of the towers of exposing corruption and have, most of the big game-changing investigative reports. I mean, not just the best, you have those too, but I mean, I'm the biggest fan. I felt bad because, I guess I kind of projected onto what you told me, some stuff, and then, all the rest of it. I mean, I thought the Prince Andrew thing was gigantic and huge and new, and to have his cover-up artist, his pitch man, the guy that was his representative, basically the cleanup guy, his PR guy, to say it was all crap, that he wasn't using these girls was massive. That's dangerous. You told me a pretty big story.
Yes.
Pam Bondi thing, the Pam Bondi thing. Yeah, I mean, it was new in that here she was saying it was videos, not files. I just thought it was going to be actually with Epstein or something, but you didn't tell me that, so I made
Yeah.
when I said this on air, I was kind of embarrassed that I conflated some of my own head. But now, since that happened, I thought you were kind of, going after them before it was due, maybe. But now, and I don't want to say this, but my integrity is all I have, and now that we have Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, I both respect and want to believe in, saying, oh no, Epstein killed himself, we've seen all the proof, and we know that's just pure crap for the evidence. And oh yeah, in Butler, crooks acted alone. I mean, they looked like when they were on Fox News last week, like they were hostages or something. It was the worst violence ever. So now I've got real concerns in my FBI sources that were saying that the 14 terabytes of kids being abused and the hundreds of victims that had been sent out to FBI offices, but now they're not been able to do anything with it, and they're actually not investigating it. And so I think the jury's out. I think the clock is ticking towards some real issues, and we don't see some movement. So I think overall, it's healthy.
Well, Alex, thank you. There's a lot to unpack there. Like one or three issues, but I think the first thing is, I think I've seen it in our audiences there, even with this Prince Andrew clip, and we have the clip, it's like 20 seconds. Just play this Prince Andrew associate talking about Prince Andrew banging underage girls. We can just play that real quick so the audience knows what we're talking about. Play that real quick.
Other girls. I was so pissed about that. I was really pissed because he lied to me about it.
Lied about
Epstein. Yeah. No, I knew he saw him, but he lied to me that he was such a close friend. I was so pissed. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew, and then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was underage girls.
So he was effing underage girls, and I think, Alex, a lot of people in the audience, that's not good enough. They already knew that. I don't think that we could prove it. But Alex Jones, let me go back to this whole situation with what we're doing at Project Veritas, exposing the truth and exposing what happened with my departure. Do you think it's just the corrupting influence of money? What is your view on organizations getting corrupt when they get bigger and collapsing? And what is your view on that? We still have Alex. Are you there? Alex Jones, are you there? I don't know if we lost Alex, but we still have the stream? All right. Well, when Alex is able, I can't hear you, Alex, but if I can hear you, I'll come back to you. Let's continue going through these exhibits where we left off. This is board member Joe Barton of Project Veritas talking about how I'm not entitled to a private life. This is pretty crazy stuff. This is all from the federal court case deposition material. Let's play the clip.
That there was a point where your client told Megyn Kelly that his life is an open book. So, I don't know that your client even has a private life.
So the board member is testifying that I don't have a private life. What's interesting about that is it's a tort to publish intimate, private messages between two consenting adults. You might say, well, James O'Keefe, you undercover people in restaurants and publish their private conversations. No. That, first of all, it's one-party consent recording. And second of all, that's usually something that's in the public interest. But it is not lawful to publish people's private medical records or bedroom chatter, especially when there's no public interest involved, and that's what these board members are advocating. This is crazy stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the weeds here. Let's go to number 17. Some of these are the employees of Project Veritas. This is all from the film on the Truth Inside Veritas. This is one employee, Jake Mantell, apologizing to me. I am so sorry for everything I did. I want us to stay together, work this out. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the apology message. Now let's go to what happened a year later. Quote, still gay as F, gayer than F, you effer. And that's a gay slur. A lot of gay slurs from these people.
James, I was there. Audio was lost. X is an actual word today. I'm back. But
okay, Alex, go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
No, it's just absolutely. I saw people saying it was a nothing burger about Prince Andrew. A lot of people have been killed around that, and including the woman that has a lot of evidence that he did all that. And so I thought that was actually, out of all the stories, he wrote in the biggest, because that's the King of England, and, Jimmy Savile and all the stuff. But you're absolutely right. This was the fixer. This was the spokesperson that went around defending Andrew, now saying, no, he lied to me. It was all BS. And then I discovered he really, really did all of this. That's probably just covering his ass. And the excuse that, I was just showing off to girls is ridiculous. We know this about the royal family. They're out of control. So that was a massive story and very, very dangerous, especially because, she, died right around there. And so, but yeah, that's what happens. It seems like the more people win, the more they deliver the goods, the more people say, oh, that's nothing. But But like getting back to, you were asking the question when the audio cut out.
Yeah.
Why does this happen when you have lightning in a bottle, when an organization's successful, when it's got a great leader, when it's got a great team? A lot of people that are involved in that start getting people reaching out to them. They get manipulated. They get offers. They also get jealous. And so this is something that goes on. I never aired any of it or much of it. But I had to Southern Poverty Law Center, get a couple of our crew members over the years to try to make stuff up. And then, of course, I was there to hack into the surveillance cameras, in the building, when I'm in the rooms, in the hallways, and exits and things, to try to find something bad. The worst thing they have would be smoking a cigarette, drinking vodka at midnight with my shirt off, walking around. I was working late. And so, trying to reach out to family, harassing family. So, yeah, this is what happens when you take on the deep state, is that, the intelligence community has 6 ways from Sunday. As Chuck Schumer said, come after you. And as Eric Trump has said, for everything you hear about the Trumps have been through, there's at least 9 other big things you don't know about. For a lot of reasons, I never want to get bad guys' attention or stalkers' attention. But yeah, when you sign up for this, folks, and I'm not whining, I signed up for it. It's just I have no idea about the whisper campaigns, the disinformation, all the stuff that goes on.
Well, Alex, it seems like, I guess, I was a little scared to publish that Prince Andrew story, and I got a lot of heat because, I won't identify who, but we have undercover journalist, a female undercover journalist that works with us. She was scared to publish that story, for me to publish that story. She's very brave, and the world will never know who she is, hopefully. But this man, John Bryan, knows who she is, and we were it was a very spiritually heavy thing for us at OMG because people come to us with information, Alex, inside the temple. We got video inside this temple, this weird, bizarre building on the Epstein Island. We got video inside Epstein's library. We could see his chalkboard. Now, what you don't know is that the source that gave that to us is a source from within the United States government. So it becomes very spiritually heavy for us here to be the place for people to go. And when I made that video online, we genuinely were scared, and we genuinely did go dark for 8-9 days because we didn't know what was going to happen when we published this Prince Andrew thing. People got very angry at us for expressing that and then coming out. And we had a rooftop event here in West Palm Beach. I'd have 5 bodyguards and wear a bulletproof vest. But Alex, I guess going back to the major issue here about institutions is, I saw Sean Ryan on Tucker's show, and he said the other day something to the effect of, everything's a lie. And it just feels like you build an organization, like you built InfoWars, and they're trying to take stuff away from you. Project Veritas fired me. And how do you create a sustainable thing to hold people accountable without power tending to corrupt it? I know that's a complicated question, but that's kind of the subject of what we're talking about today.
Well, the biggest thing is people you've had long-term relationships with that are good and strong. You got to really stay with those people. And at the same time, I coined the term, the devil's greatest trick was not that he didn't exist. That's the second biggest. It's the good doesn't exist. And then, we all tend to try to keep each other, at the highest level. But then we, don't spend most of our time actually exposing the bad guys like you and others do. And so I just think, we need to, that's why I always, as a talk show host, I'm not really an investigative journalist. I do some of that here and there, like Bohemian Grove and a lot of things, but 90% just punditry and analysis, in my opinion, research and guests. And that's why, but a lot of the talk show hosts I've noticed don't appreciate the other researchers or investigators and, don't really celebrate other people because they see it as like a competition. I'm in competition to bring down the globalist and try to save society from some really evil eugenicist globalists. And so I see everybody else's success in the liberty movement as my own. And, so many times I've had other hosts on or people that aren't as big as I am, and they're later like, well, what is it you want from me? Why are you having me on? Like, well, you're interesting. I want to boost what you're doing. Because to me, a rising tide raises all ships. So I just think a lot of this is, a lot of people, I think, get into media sometimes for the wrong reasons, and it's just about being famous. And then they don't realize, that what comes with that's going to be political pressure. And then as soon as the political pressure comes, they roll over. But take Trump's first administration. He got in, he had a lot of good intentions, but he got a lot of bad people and a lot of good people. But most of the good people didn't have thick skin and were scared, so they wouldn't tell him he was being sold out.
they didn't really act against Trump, but they didn't warn him. They didn't stick their heads up, and it wasn't many people who would actually tell him what was going on. I mean, if you go back to the first administration, you too. It came out the chief of staff's job was to keep Trump away, from me. It was in the news because I'd tell him, hey, this person works for Soros. They're on the board of directors. Really? They'd fire him. But then all hell broke loose. They came after me, even more in the deep state. And it wasn't that everybody around, didn't know that, but they already, run Flynn out, and people that did know and would speak up. And so, but, the majority of them just sat there and did nothing so they could soak in me and around the power. And that's really the danger is.
It is the danger.
Not even so much the bad guys, you know who they are. It's the people that act like they're good guys. And they're not really on the side of evil, but they don't really fight it. And so God said in the Bible, you were hot, no cold, so I spit you out of my mouth. It's the lukewarm fence riders, the sunshine patriots are the problem, but it's the winter soldiers that are going to win the war.
Now, one more thing, Alex, and then we got to go. This is from Conrad's Heart of Darkness, which is the book that Apocalypse Now is based upon, and I love this quote, and I think it applies to what you're saying. Quote, few men realize that their life, the essence of their character, their capabilities and their audacities are only the expression of their belief in the safety of their surroundings. Now, what I saw, and this is my analysis now about everything I've showed you and I'm about to show you, is that when people are put under pressure, when they feel like their self-interest is threatened, when they're in danger, they will sell out their own mother to protect themselves. That's what I have seen in my life. Not everybody, but most people. Alex, thank you for being on the show today. Appreciate it very much.
You bet.
Thank you.
James, that's it. Real integrity is the most valuable thing in the universe. God bless.
Thank you. God bless. And speaking of that, let's go to the board member. Let's go back to the exhibits. We're back now. If you're just joined us, we're taking you through this film that we've just launched on O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. You can watch the 12-minute video on my X, but you can watch the full hour-long video on our website. This is a board member, Matt Tiermond, a few days after I was fired. Go ahead, play it.
Does not belong in this
Pause.
race.
It's clipping out the. There you go.
Donald Trump does not belong in this race. Multiple things can be true at the same time. As I said a few weeks ago when John and I were here, if he won, he would enter the White House as the weakest president in history because he'd be lame duck day one. Donald Trump is flailing around, making attacks on Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife. I'm all about attacking Elaine Chao.
It goes on too long, but I don't know what this is all about here. These statements about anti-Trump statements from this board member. Let's continue to go through the story of some of the things that happened in the film, and then I want to get to some other people like Loomer and RC. This is Project Veritas employee John Bailey. Please, cut 19. This is disgusting. I apologize to all of you. You have to endure this, but unfortunately, you wanted to know what happened at Project Veritas. This is John Bailey, who was an employee that testified against me in the board meeting. The board meeting, you'll be able to hear the board meeting in the movie. I'll take you inside that infamous board meeting February 6th where they were crucifying me for all of my sins. I'm a mean boss. Go play that. Put that back up, please. Obscene text. This is an image of a dildo in my mouth. This is sexual harassment, by the way. I'm not going to file a complaint, but in New York, you can't do this. You can't do this to people that you work with. Now, after John Bailey sent me a picture of a dildo in my mouth, he then, a few months later, sent me this. An apology. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you know I'm mission-oriented. I've got some things I'd like to square, but hey, are you hiring, James? And then John Bailey tries to apply to work for me at O'Keefe Media Group. Okay, I know this is ridiculous, but we're going to keep going, taking you through this. You wanted to know what happened. This is the IT Associate Director, Angelo Martinez. Now, RC, are you there? Because this one applies to you. I think RC. Okay, I apologize. I'm showing this, RC, but you consented to it being in the film. This is just horrific, a violation of HIPAA laws. Now, RC, can you tell people who Angelo worked, was it in the IT department, what he did in the IT department?
Yeah, I mean, this is an individual who had access to all of our devices, all of our phones. Angelo, aside from the federal government who admitted to tapping our phones, Angelo is the one person, who has access to a lot of our comms, a lot of our communications. And for him to, by the way, I invited this individual to my wedding. Again, this speaks to the callous nature. You're talking about people becoming corrupted by access to power. This individual is posting sensitive information about my wife from random texts from when she was on medication. By the way, don't take antipsychotic medication. It's not good for you. And when you come down from that medication, it really tears you up. So you have an individual I've invited to my wedding who is attacking me in this way simply because I didn't stand with them.
I just want to pause for a second. Yeah, and all of you listening to R.C. Maxwell and watching this, there's a film. It's out now at o'keefemediagroup.com. It's called The Truth Inside Veritas. It's incredibly cinematic. What we're doing right now, taking you through these different screenshots, is we're slowing it down a little bit, telling you, you're looking at a guy inside the IT department of a company, an IT, what was he, RC Associate Director or Assistant to IT, what was his title?
Wouldn't be able to tell you.
IT, he worked for Josh Hughes, he was in IT, saying, quote, RC left his wife's text messages on her phone. I have all the receipts of her private medical records. And this is a violation of HIPAA. And he's threatening you on Instagram. And we believe he deleted this message, RC, but we've retrieved it. And it's in the lawsuit. This is just disgusting. And I'm sorry that you had to go through this. Let's go to the next one. These are part of the revolutionaries. There was a text message thread called the Revolutionaries. And these are employees who are saying in this, by the way, isn't that ironic, RC, that right-wingers are acting like communists? Isn't that weird to you?
I am not surprised now that I've done research on the ways that organizations become cancer and rotted. I am not surprised. This is one of the symptoms. One of the symptoms is, Marxist themes start to seep into certain structures, and that starts to become a cancer.
Are you saying that's like human nature? It's not like a left-right thing? It just exists in all the hearts of men?
Sadly, that's exactly what I think. Jealousy, attempts to control, trying to see yourself as great instead of being, instead of lifting up others. All these facets are at play.
All right, let's take a look at these messages. Let's go back to that one. These are the Revolutionaries text message chats. Now, you might be wondering, how did I get these? Well, there was in a lawsuit, and things, or you might be saying, well, how is it legal for you to publish what's happening in a lawsuit? Well, lawsuit's public proceeding. These are not under seal. You can report, the journalists report on court proceedings every day. This is Bethany Rolando, just spoke to Matt Tieramond, Joanna Sumner. These are all people in the fundraising department. Matt asked if I could testify against James O'Keefe. Mario Balaban, Matt asked if I could testify against James. So this guy, Matt Tieramond, is soliciting all the employees to testify against me. Let's go to the next screenshot. This is the IT director, this is the supervisor of RC of the guy who leaked your medical records, saying that Matt volunteered to be an open sounding board. Let's get everyone in the room and testify against James O'Keefe. Let's go to the next screenshot. This is a woman named Arden Young. I asked Matt Tieramond if James will be allowed to speak, and Matt Tieramond told me no. So that sounds like a kangaroo court to me. Let's go to the next. Okay, this is actually quite bizarre. This is an attorney for Project Veritas named Julia Witt, who says that I, quote, took the pregnant woman's sandwich. The lawyer for Project Veritas is claiming that I stole the pregnant lady's sandwich. You've all heard about this accusation, right? What you may not know, or as Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story, is we actually tracked this pregnant lady down. Do we have an audio of the pregnant lady? Oh, there we go. Now, this, pull it up and then pause it. This is actually a woman who was a co-defendant with Christian Hartsock. Christian Hartsock's reporting on the Democracy Partners case. in this court case trial. We're in a trial together. She's pregnant. Apparently, she didn't know that I stole her sandwich. And in fact, we actually tracked her down and got audio of her claiming this never happened. Let's play that clip.
So I don't have any recollection of there ever being a sandwich that was meant for me that you took.
So she's denying that we stole the sandwich. So let's go back to Julia Witt again. And by the way, I'm naming names. Most people don't have the balls to name names. But I'm going to name names because I'm being honest. I'm being truthful. Why would attorney Julia Witt, who's supposed to represent the organization and do what's in the best interest of the organization, literally, she's the attorney for Project Veritas. Now, this is a rhetorical question. Why would Julia Witt fabricate an allegation about me stealing a sandwich? Can anybody answer that? I'm just going to let that simmer for a minute. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is also pretty crazy stuff. Again, if you're just tuning in, you wanted to know what really happened at Project Veritas, and now you know, with the film called The Truth Inside Veritas, out now at o'keefemediagroup.com. You can sign up on our website and subscribe, and you'll get to watch this hour-long cinematic movie. The guy who edited it, phenomenal film director named Chase, and he's done some incredible work putting all this together. Let's listen to this guy. This guy's name is Barry Hinckley. He was terminated from the company because he did not do, in my view, a good enough job raising funds. And this is a recording from inside the boardroom. If we could just move that play bar over so we could see the subtitles, please. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be able to watch the subtitles. If you're listening on X, you can hear it. Let's go back. This is him talking about how I take black cars around and I drive myself around in SUVs. And he's never seen someone take black cars. Now we know who came up with the black cars thing, and it was Barry Hinckley. Go ahead, play this cut.
A lot of employees, and I never lived this lifestyle with black cars constantly picking me up, moving me around, expensive accommodations when the rest of the staff are staying at one level. I mean, all for one and one for all, expected in a nonprofit. I just never took the vision of one person living one way and everyone else living another way.
He's never seen the CEO get compensated differently than other people. A lot of people in the audience wondering, well, gee, I mean, if you're the key man, if you need bodyguards or security, why is that morally wrong? Very strange. By the way, we see Christian Hartsock is in the audience. Do we want to invite him in to tell me how evil I am? I'd love to hear what Christian has to say about people putting semen on sandwiches, saying it's wrong for me to take black cars, fabricating allegations about pregnant ladies' sandwiches, the attorney for Project Veritas fabricating things about that. I'd love to hear about the co-investments in businesses. I'd love to hear about Petrogen, which, quote, could be sold to Pfizer. I'd love to hear Christian Hartsock's response to all those things if he has the balls to respond to those things. Because that's what the story is about. Let's go to the board meeting with all these allegations against me. Let's hear about, this is board member George Skakel at Project Veritas talking about whether I could respond to all these crazy allegations. Go ahead.
What do you expect us to do given these allegations?
Well, will I have a chance to respond to them? There's two separate issues here. There's the
No, the quick answer is no. Not here, not now.
I didn't prevent him from responding, that's for sure.
So there you have George Skakel under oath lying, saying that he didn't prevent me from responding. Can we go back to the board meeting? For those listening on X, it's hard for them to see. Just the part where Skakel said, no. Go back to that part, please.
What us to do given these allegations?
Well, will I have a chance to respond to them? There's two separate issues here. There's the
No, the quick answer is no. Not here, not now.
And then, so that's what he said in the boardroom on February 6th. And then under oath in his deposition, play that clip, please.
I didn't prevent him from responding.
Well,
that's for sure.
That seems like a direct contradiction, doesn't it? Direct contradiction. And one more clip, and then we're going to get to Laura Loomer. By the way, if Christian Hartsock has the courage to actually address these things, we will let him on as a speaker, and I will hear what he has to say. But I want to hear him actually talk about this. I want to hear him address these things. These are serious things that are headed towards a jury trial. That any reasonable person would think is absolutely outrageous and shocks the conscience. But I do want to hear from Christian Hartsock. But first we'll go to Laura Loomer. Go ahead, Laura. What are your thoughts on this crazy stuff as someone who worked for Project Veritas?
Well, I'm not really surprised. And if you look at the tweets that I sent you when you announced that you were getting control of Veritas again, you saw that 2023, sorry, my phone was ringing. I think that was Roger Stone trying to call me. But you see that the tweets I sent you and posted back in 2023 said that this was likely a coup tied to Pfizer. And I know I sent these tweets to RC and I sent them to you, and it turns out that I was right. And I also suspected that there had been some involvement with the DeSantis campaign and Ron DeSantis, and that turned out to be true as well, because as we saw from some of the files and some of the relationships that some of these people had, they were actively working with the Ron DeSantis for President campaign at the time of this coup and this takedown. So I just think it's incredible how so many people called it a conspiracy, but I guess it's another one of those conspiracy theories come true, James.
Laura, were you ever subject to this sexual harassment? I know with Barton and Tiermond, there's exhibits in the lawsuit where they're talking about sexual harassment of undercover journalists. Did you ever see anything from these board members that crossed a line in your mind when you were at Project Veritas?
No, I wouldn't say that I saw anything personally. I wasn't subjected to any type of sexual harassment when I was at Project Veritas. In fact, I found it to be very pleasant when I was working for you. I only have a positive memory of working with you and my time at Project Veritas. So when I saw all these accusations, I actually just started laughing. I just thought it was so funny. Oh my God, James O'Keefe stole a sandwich from a pregnant woman. Because I was like, yeah, okay. Rule number one of working at Project Veritas and working for James O'Keefe: make sure that he always has food. I mean, that just sounds like those people are slacking at their job. Because when I worked for you, I know that I made sure that you had a snack or something to eat every single time we traveled or every single time we were together. So.
And I don't want you to say her name, Laura, but you actually know the pregnant woman, who that is. It was the defendant in the Democracy Partners case. Please don't say her name on the air, because this doesn't concern her. But, anything else you want to say about, we have Christian Hartsock who wants to speak.
What did you say?
Go ahead.
Your voice cut out a minute on my feed when you.
I just said you actually know this pregnant woman that this attorney claimed I stole the sandwich of the pregnant woman. You actually know who the pregnant woman is. She's someone that worked at Project Veritas as an undercover journalist about 10 years ago alongside you when you started with me. And she was the defendant in the Democracy Partners case there at trial. So I just wanted to say that you happen to know her. But.
Yeah, well, like I said before, they tried to demonize you in the most laughable ways possible, and knowing some of these board members, and look, I've known some of these people for 10, 11 years, right? Because, well, I got to know them very well when I worked for you. My first job out of college, literally I got kicked out of college while working for you, and so it was just really interesting to see all of these people who used to say, oh, you're my brother, James, I love you, and oh, we're one big family here at Project Veritas, just completely stab you in the back. And it was very disheartening for me because I considered some of these people to be my friends for many years, and then I started to realize that I couldn't really trust them after the way that they were demonizing you and trying to destroy you and steal the company that you worked so hard for and the company that you created. With so much adversity from underneath you. So, I guess I have that kind of unique perspective since I know a lot of these people firsthand and was involved in a lot of these investigations for several years working with you. But I think a lot of it has to do with jealousy. I mean, I definitely think that Matthew Tiermont resents you. I definitely think that there's a lot of jealousy as it relates to like people wanting to be you. When I was watching your film that you released, and we're going to talk about it more tonight because you're my guest on Lumen
Right.
Relations.
I will be joining Laura. I just want to make a plug for your show. I'll be joining Laura tonight at 9:30 Eastern Time. And Laura is like a sister to me. And I've known Laura Loomer for 10 years. Laura did this huge story, made the front page of the New York Post, catching Al Sharpton's. What was the name of that woman you caught on video, Laura? The woman that.
Well, she's dead now, but Erica Garner.
Erica Garner.
Of Eric, and we got all the family members of the Black Lives Matter scams who were working with Al Sharpton, and we got them to admit on camera that he basically like utilizes the family members of dead black men. So that
all about the money. She said he's all about the money, and Laura got this woman on video making that gesture with the fingers. Al Sharpton's up with the money. Front page New York Post, and people.
We got Trayvon Martin's family on camera too.
And people at Project Veritas would criticize you, and my response to them was always to say, Laura actually gets results. And you may have issues with, her or whatever personality, but the bottom line is journalists get results. And I consider you like a sister, and I tell people that. They always try to get me to criticize you. I say, listen, I'm not. You're my friend, and I mean that in a genuinely in a way. I don't have many friends, so Laura Loomer is my friend, and you will always be my friend. Even if we disagree on politics or a tactic on how to get something, it's just, you're my friend. But I really wasn't,
I appreciate that. You're my friend too, and that's what I'm telling people. I traveled with James. Look, I've been everywhere with James. I've known him since I was in college. And so when I saw all of these crazy stories and reports coming out about his character and all these accusations, it's just completely false. And it's not the James O'Keefe that I know. And it's not like, a regular relationship where, oh yeah, it's like 9 to 5 and you go to the office and that's that. No, I've traveled with James. I know his family. I know his personal life, right? Like, we're very, very close. And so I knew from the get-go that a lot of these accusations about him were completely false. And the reality is that James O'Keefe has a security threat. When we worked at Veritas, and Matt Tiermont knows this, and all the people that are talking shit about James know this, I remember when I was the comms director for Project Veritas during the 2016 presidential election, after I had completed my investigation in the Hillary Clinton campaign. And when I was doing communications, I was literally sleeping on the couch inside the Project Veritas office for like the week of the presidential election and we actually had to hire private security, like former CIA operatives, to come do private security at the office because Hillary Clinton was sending reporters around who were taking the license plate numbers of people's vehicles who worked for Project Veritas, and there were several instances of some people like going home and documenting the fact that like their residences had been opened,
Laura.
including mine. And so I'm saying this because James has every right to travel in an Uber Black. James has every right to travel in private transportation. Like, what do they want? They want him to live like a total schlep and not have any, private security.
Let me get to Laura. Stand by. RC, you got about 30 seconds before I go to Christian Hartsock. Go ahead, RC.
Hey, look, I think that those are all very important issues Laura brings up, but I think this issue that you bring up also in the documentary of federal informants investigating Project Veritas, the feds being involved in Project Veritas. We know about you being, raided by the FBI, but there is still information that the DOJ could release about exactly what the feds did to Project Veritas. You have to understand, when journalists are investigated by feds, it creates a chilling effect. It's a core issue, and it matters not only because of public trust in media, but it's literally a constitutional issue. So look, I'm challenging Pam Bondi at this time to release all information she has about the feds, the Joe Biden federal government investigating Project Veritas.
Yes, thank you, RC. That's a great point. I'm going to make that point every single show I do until this is unredacted. They redacted every single word for RC is referring to of the probable cause, that is the justification for the search warrant against myself, Eric Cochran, and Spencer Meads. And while they dropped the case in February, the FBI dropped the case about the diary and the raid against me, and there's no criminal investigation. They redacted every word. We need that unredacted. We believe were confidential Fed informants at Project Veritas. Oh, and by the way, it's a crime to lie to the FBI. So whoever lied to the FBI about the fact that we committed a crime, we're committing a felony. Hey, maybe that's why they hate me so much. It's people tend to project onto you. But we're going to go to Christian Hartsock. Christian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. My question for you is this. Do you think it's okay for Matt Tierman to say things like, quote, "come guzzling dumpster" to my current chief technology officer? Do you think it's okay for Angelo Martinez to steal medical records from an innocent woman? And do you stand with the individuals after they've sexually harassed me, sent me pictures of semen covered on a sandwich, counterimposed dildos in my mouth, and board members co-investing in medical companies? What is your comment on that behavior, Christian Hartsock?
No, they know exactly how I feel about that, about those texts. And but you know me. I've been friends with you for 15 years.
Wait, hold on a second. Define friend. Define friend.
Are you gonna? No. You want me to answer, or are you gonna talk over me?
Go ahead.
Okay. I remain friends with everyone. For the same reason I remain friends with you after you tried to lure Abby Boudreaux onto a boat full of dildos and condoms and chocolate strawberries and sex toys for God knows what fucking reason and lied to me about it when all she wanted to do was get on the set of Landry Dance and film me directing it. I stayed friends with you. You made a public humiliation of me and I stood by you. Scott Zamos called me, invited me down to Sunset to go on CNN and distance myself from you and say I knew nothing about this, which was true. You totally blindsided me. I knew absolutely nothing about it. But I said, no, you're too late. James already called me and apologized. And he's my friend and I will stand by him. And I always stood by you. I continue to stand by you. I never stopped considering myself your friend. Where I stopped short is being willing to lie to the public for you, which is exactly what you were doing. When you claimed that you were ousted, which you are still lying. Why are you lying about that?
So can you answer
No, I'm not done. I'm not done.
So this is not your show. We're going to cut your mic. Mute the mic, please. Mute the mic, Christian. Christian, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but this is not your show, and I asked you a question. I asked you a question about the board members co-investing in companies and their conflicts of interest. Are you willing to have a conversation with me about the board members of Project Veritas terminating James O'Keefe? Are you willing to talk about that? Yes or no? You can unmute Christian's mic. It won't be a monologue of you spouting about random stuff from...
What do you mean random stuff, James?
I'm asking you a question about the board firing me and your comments about that.
Tell me when the board fired you. Tell me the date the board fired you.
February.
Because you told the public one thing, and you told, and the reality we know was that it was 3 months later.
February 10th, 2023 is when the board voted to indefinitely suspend me without pay.
Okay, so you just notice what you just did. You just moved the goalposts.
No, never changed anything. No, that is termination under New York law. Indefinite suspension without pay is called indentured servitude, aka slavery, so that would be considered termination under federal law.
What they voted to do was suspend your ability to retaliate against employees who had bravely testified to the way you had treated them.
So let's talk about the grievances, Christian. What do you think about Julia Witt manufacturing a claim that I stole a pregnant lady's sandwich?
Notice you conveniently...
What is your response? I would love you to answer. What is your response to the lie about the pregnant lady's sandwich, Christian Hartsock?
What are the words that you left out of what Julia Witt said? She said you yelled at her. You shouted at her.
I yelled at her? You didn't respond to my question.
Read the letter. I am responding to your question.
The question is.
Can I just say something? Why are we pretending like in this industry, even regardless of whether you yelled at the woman or not? It's called investigative reporting. This is high-profile investigative reporting. There were so many instances in the office where people yelled at each other, not because they were trying to be disrespectful. But
Thank you,
because,
but even if I yelled at her, which is, hold on, hold on, Laura.
People yelled at the office.
Christian, hold on. I'm going to cut your mic. This is not your show. Cut his mic. I'm going to ask you a question. And here's the question I have. And it's a very specific question. An attorney for Project Veritas fabricates a claim that I stole a sandwich. Your co-defendant, whose name I will not mention because it doesn't concern her, a fellow investigative reporter, comes out and denies this ever happened. Christian Hartsock, what do you have to say about an attorney fabricating an allegation? Please limit your answer to the question that I've asked you. Go ahead.
Well, if she fabricated it, then why did you draft an apology? Why did you ask the board if you could read an apology letter at 4 hours and 41 minutes into the board recording that you made?
No, I didn't say that she fabricated it.
I quote, if I don't change,
cut his mic. If he's not gonna cooperate, we're not gonna. I didn't fabricate it. Your fellow colleague, you know who she is, in the Democracy Partners case, said that she fabricated it. What is your response to her fabrication? What is your response to that? Go ahead, answer the question.
First of all, I reject your premise that Julia fabricated it.
But that's what your colleague said.
No, there's probably a misunderstanding of her stupid sandwich. The point is, you verbally abused her, James.
Stupid sandwich?
You didn't fucking read what she wrote. She said you verbally abused her.
What
gives a shit
okay.
what it was about?
All right.
Number two. Why did you say in the board meeting at 4 hours in the quote crucifixion? Why did you say
verbal abuse right here?
I feel like I'm the one being verbally abused.
I'm saying.
Oh well.
I mean, why are you cursing at me so much?
Okay.
Is this how you talk to your colleagues?
Cursing has never offended you, so I guess okay. I will not use.
I mean, the comments I'm getting right now is this guy's screaming and cursing at you. You're doing precisely what you accuse me of. You're projecting onto me who you are.
Okay, why did you say to the board? Why did you say I appreciate everyone caring so much about the mission? I really appreciate everyone being so honest.
Well, evidently, because I didn't realize at the time. Because I didn't realize at the time what I know now, which is that many of these people don't actually care about the mission. And that came out afterwards when they called me a, quote, faggot, when they sent me pictures of semen-covered sandwiches, when attorneys fabricated allegations, when board members solicited investments from donors and didn't disclose that, which is a violation of the conflict of interest. I learned so much. I was once blind and now I see, Christian. My question for you is this. Now that you know the character of...
We will lose Project Veritas. Why did you say that?
Because I didn't think it was...
Was it 6 hours of Julia talking about a sandwich, James? Was it 6 hours of Julia talking about a sandwich? Or were there very real grievances that were brought to your attention that you said, if I don't change, we will lose Project Veritas?
I mean, I guess the question is, I sent an apology letter, and I genuinely meant it about saying in front of other people, there's the door. But the problem is Barry Hinckley stated he would not follow my lead. So my question back to you, Christian Hartsock, in a situation where I tell someone, you need to do this, and they are insubordinate, what was I supposed to do? You want me to raise $24 million a year, and you're not allowing me to take an SUV. So what exactly do you expect me to do as the CEO or leader? And that's the problem with your logic. You don't have an answer. You just keep going back to I yelled at somebody. I don't know what you're referring to.
No, that's the part. No, that's not. No, that's the thing you want to laser focus in on. For the last 2 years, all you have all you have focused in on is Sandwichgate and black cars. When you know goddamn well, you sat there.
Wait, can you please stop cursing at me?
Why? Okay, James, in 16 years, you've never been offended by the F word. Why are you pretending to be offended by it now?
Because I think it's important that we can have.
Pretending to be someone you're not. You use the F word all the time. You were never this thin-skinned pussy about it.
Okay, well, because we're on a public show in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and I think it's important to try to have a cordial conversation without hurling expletives.
I really don't appreciate the way you've been attacking people for the last 2 years, laser focused, personal, deriding, completely belittling, very real. I mean, wide on
Hey, Christian, I'm raising money right now for lawyers to defend the reporting, some of the reporting you were involved in. I don't think you understand the price of being a leader when you have to raise tens of millions of dollars a year. And your colleague said, I will not follow your lead. And then you guys ran out of money, and there was no money to defend you. So help me understand. Help me understand. What were you guys thinking?
What do you mean? What was I? You abandoned us, James. No one wanted you to leave Project Veritas. No one wanted you gone, and you know that.
I was indefinitely suspended without pay.
Because of course they had to suspend you from retaliating against employees who had testified. That's a normal thing.
And how did that go for them?
Hire and fire, and they suspended your ability to raise money while pending the results of an internal audit, which is the part you conveniently leave out.
And can you give me an example of something I did financially wrong, Christian Hartsock? Can you give me one example?
Well, if you had waited for there to be an internal, maybe you were completely innocent, but clearly you were not, because you cut and ran. You were afraid of simply sticking with the team and saying, hey guys, don't worry.
So if I were to indefinitely suspend you without pay, that's called indentured servitude in New York State. I can't indefinitely suspend someone without pay and tell them they work for me. If I were to indefinitely suspend you without a paycheck, what would you do?
Well, there was a subsequent board meeting later that week that you didn't show up to. If you were so confident that you had been spending donor money, without anything for anyone to complain about, then why didn't you stick around for that board meeting, that second board meeting?
Because they told me to be gone for 2 weeks. They told me to be gone for 2 weeks.
This is where you know you're lying. They did not tell you. You're going to tell me that they invited you to a board meeting?
Can I get a response from you on the issue before the federal judge, which is the
No. I want to know, why did you
cut his
not show up
mic.
to
Cut
that
his
board
mic.
meeting?
See, here's the thing. This is my show, and when you go in front of a jury, you don't get to yell at the jury and the federal judge. I want to talk about what I want to talk about. I want to ask you, Christian Hartsock, another question. What do you think about the board members of Project Veritas publishing private, intimate text messages between me and my girlfriend? And please only answer that question. If you deviate from answering that question, I'm going to cut your mic. Go ahead.
Again, they know everything. They know exactly how I feel about that.
And how do you feel about that, Christian Hartsock? Be brave. Tell the world.
The same way I felt about you trying to lure Abby Boudreaux onto a boat full of dildos and sex toys, and making me take the fall for it on CNN.
How do you feel about the board members of the company publishing the IT person publishing R.C. Maxwell's medical records? Tell me your response to that. Are you brave enough to make a comment?
Excuse me. They know very well, and they've known all this time that I never that I'm against that, as you well know. Okay, but here's the problem: is you want me to be this avatar for everything that anyone has ever done to you or RC, when I'm not. You invited me to talk. I will talk about what was within my knowledge and was within my control. And the fact is, you abandoned your team. You lied to the public. You were not ousted, and you.
By the way, Christian, you liked the comment that Angelo made, trying to torment and taunt my wife. By the way, you liked that comment on IG. You're gonna sit here and you're gonna say, I don't remember it, because you're not mad enough to sit here and say, yes, I liked that comment because I had animosity for you because you stood with James.
Well,
See, this is the problem.
I don't think that's not a comment that I.
This is the problem.
Why don't you take this up with Angelo?
Evil, corrupt power cannot win unless there are people like you who are either too stupid not to know the difference or willing to be a puppet. And I feel like you're either in one category and
you're projecting because RC, you told me yourself. You told me yourself you're projecting because you told me yourself James needed to be reined in. And you told me that, but if James leaves, you will leave to protect your brand. It didn't. You even told me it didn't matter who was in the wrong. If James left, you would leave to protect your brand, and sure enough, that's what you did. Whereas the brave souls that stayed aboard Project Veritas and refused to join James.
So you're saying you're righteous, we're all liars, and we're all.
Well, you knew James was lying. You knew James was lying.
Did you know? Wait, can I ask you an honest question? Did you know that we had board members who had medical companies who were potentially shopping them to companies like Pfizer? Were you aware?
Yeah, and all that would matter if James was actually ousted. But here's the thing, RC. You know damn well James was not ousted.
Okay, we're gonna.
Were you aware that they knew about the Pfizer investigation for 2 years? Why did they suddenly wait until the release in January, late January 2023, to suddenly say, you know what? Now James has gone too far. Let's oust him. They knew about, Matt Tierman knew about the Pfizer investigation for 2 years.
Christian, are you currently in a Revolutionaries chat with Tierman? Are you currently in a Revolutionaries chat with Matt Tierman?
Answer my question, James. I will answer your question after you answer mine. Why did you?
That's a tautology. I don't have to answer your irrelevant questions because when this goes before a jury, you're not going to be able to yell and scream at a judge and tell him to answer your questions. Publication of private facts, defamation, is unlawful, Christian Hartsock. You can't publish people's private medical records. Do you understand? You cannot publish people's private medical records. The fact that you are unable or unwilling to condemn someone publishing R.C. Maxwell's wife's medical records says so much about you. You can't sign a conflicts of interest policy at a nonprofit and then invest in companies and not disclose it. You can't do that. Now I'm going to give you one more chance. Do you have any comment on the following things? Do you have any comment on sexual, graphic, and obscene messages sent from these are your friends? Do you have any comment on the attorney of Project Veritas fabricating an allegation according to the pregnant lady? And do you have any comment, most importantly, on the board members of the company co-investing in companies and not disclosing that conflict of interest? Do you have any comment on those three things? Go ahead. Christian.
And you have no proof that Julia fabricated anything, except what she didn't fabricate was you verbally abusing her in front of people, whether it was someone's sandwich or not. Why do you laser focus on?
All right, get him off the air. Get him off the air. I mean, I wanted to give you guys a glimpse into this. I run from nothing, I hide from nothing. You got to hear directly from one of the people at Project Veritas who was fired after the company ran out of money. RC, what's your reaction to that?
Look, I want to know who is a federal informant at Project Veritas, who was a federal informant. I think the picture is still cloudy. Like I said, I think that powerful people can't do evil unless there are pawns they can use. I think Christian is one of those pawns. And I am curious to what the next depositions, what comes out. I'm curious to hear what Matthew Tiraman has to say in his additional deposition. We know he's conniving. You heard the clip that his anti-Trump clip that speaks to his conniving nature.
I wonder what Christian has to say about Matt Tiraman saying Trump will never be president. Like that, I didn't think to ask that question, but I don't want to, bother you guys with ramblings and non sequiturs. And this is for the viewers. I mean, this is the kind of, unfortunately, and by the way, let me be fair. I think Christian did some great work at Project Veritas. The two things I think he did amazing were the report on Bob Creamer, which, by the way, I'm appealing to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. We're currently paying for the legal fees to defend the journalism that he was involved in. He did great work. I think he did great work on the story involving ABC producer that was caught on tape saying they need to cross the Hudson River and actually research why people in this country love Trump. Christian did some great work. Unfortunately, Christian Hartsock fell a victim to, he wanted more credit, and he became, I believe, resentful and quite vindictive after he was not given the credit as an undercover journalist. And that turned into a kind of vindictiveness and a kind of resentment. And I actually, so I want to be fair that I think he did some good work, but unfortunately, and this is what it comes down to, if you don't have integrity in your life, and if you can't condemn what we're talking about here, and if you can't take a stance, then it doesn't matter how good it doesn't matter how talented you are, or how great your output is. You have to have integrity, and that kind of gives you a glimpse into kind of some of the people that I have had to deal with. Two things can be true. They can be talented, they can do some great things, but if they're going to send me dildos in my mouth and send a picture of me nailed to a cross, I don't know if we have that one. We don't even want to show, it's too graphic. They nailed me to a crucifix. I'm sorry, I can't work with you. And I thank God every single day that these people are no longer in my life. See, that's the blessing that God gave me. You don't work for me anymore. I don't need to pay your bills anymore. I don't need to raise money to make sure that you're fed, that you're traveling around the country. So we'll end it on that one. And we're going to have a few more exhibits to go through, and then we're going to get to you, the viewers. We want to hear from people who've watched the film. If you're just tuning in, you are listening live to James O'Keefe on the Inside, talking about what really happened at Project Veritas and taking you through little glimpses of the film that we've released. What's next? The board member wanting to this is the board meeting. You're actually in this movie, The Truth Inside Veritas. We're going to take you inside the board meeting, and you're going to hear audio and video, see video of me trying to defend myself with these crazy accusations. Go ahead and play this clip. This is, we don't have sound on this clip. We're going to have sound in a moment. This is me.
I'd love an opportunity to
pause. Give some context for the listeners. This is me trying to defend myself. I'd love an opportunity to respond to these accusations. You heard some accusations by Christian Hartsock hurling things at me that I yelled at somebody. Okay, I'd love an opportunity to respond to that accusation. Let's listen to these attempts to make This is from the board meeting right before I was fired. Play it.
I'd love an opportunity to respond when Barry Hinckley is off the phone, please. Ask do I have a chance to respond to this? I would like to read my.
Let's bring him in. Go. Let's bring him in.
He made no effort to defend himself.
May I have a chance to?
On mute. I'm sorry.
I'd like to respond to.
There's 5 or 6 times during this board meeting that I was begging to respond to these weird allegations. And they would not let me respond. They refused to let me respond. Keep going.
Danny's. I think it's only appropriate to have the chief executive officer respond with the facts. I have a right to respond.
Or object to anything anybody was saying.
So this is unbelievable, the contradictions here. If you're listening, you can go to o'keefemediagroup.com, watch the full film, subscribe. It's $9. o'keefemediagroup.com to watch this incredibly cinematic experience taking you on the inside. You know, one of my mantras is show, don't tell. You don't have to take my word for it. You can actually hear what these people were saying in the board meeting. Let's go to a few more. This is board member of Project Veritas admitting that he wanted to harm me.
When did you switch to wanting to harm James?
After James started claiming he was fired.
He said he wanted to harm me for making the statement that I was fired. And I think we want to go through some callers, and this is when I go to the audience here. If you want to join the discussion, please DM me, James O'Keefe, III, and my producers will get you in. This is James O'Keefe, III on X. If you want to join this discussion, I want to hear from people who've watched the movie. And I think we have someone that is going to call in a minute, or that person is no longer. Okay. For those of you who've watched the movie or have seen The Truth Inside Veritas, I think Zach Voorhees has watched the movie. So, Zach, you're on board. Go ahead. Zach is connecting. Zach Voorhees, of course, the famous Google whistleblower from 2019, blew the whistle on Google's algorithmic unfairness. Zach watched the full film. I'd like to hear your reaction, Zach. Go ahead.
When I saw the movie, I was like, this. I really hope that you release this to the general public because everybody needs to know the movie was surprisingly good, and I say that like honestly. You know, it's like these movies where you click through and, you know, sometimes they're iffy. This one is amazing. There was a lot of stuff that I was surprised that you held back. Like, I went into this movie thinking that I already knew the whole story, but the stuff that you had in this movie was absolutely incredible. To all you, you know, to the people that did this to you, James, I have to say, shame on you first. Like, the problem is that you believe that you were Project Veritas, and you pulled a coup, and now you're not doing journalism, and James is. And thank God for people like you, James, that have come through. I trust that you're going to prevail. It's a pretty open and shut thing to me. Like, once you get all the facts out there, a rational person is going to realize that this was a coup. It was done for power, and because of the resilience of one man, James O'Keefe.
Hey, Zach, you mentioned after watching the film you saw something you didn't know or something, because you're pretty knowledgeable about some of this. You've paid close attention. What was it about the film, or what did you see in the movie at o'keefemediagroup.com called The Truth Inside Veritas? What was it that really struck you this time around?
How the board members... Who was that? It was that older gentleman who was in the deposition a lot.
George Skakel.
George Skakel, yeah. He was saying things under deposition that he clearly was lying about. And to see everybody involved in their ability to lie, like just continuously lie and lie and lie, was quite frankly frightening.
And why do you think that? What was your assessment? Is it, you know, I have my hypotheses, but it seems to be based and predicated in some type of envy or resentment for not getting fame. And what do you think how do you analyze that? Because you're pretty good at getting into depth on some of these issues.
Look, I've been an entrepreneur. I've shipped 8,000 units for a product I built in China. I had the same thing happen to me. And when I saw what was going down, I started to investigate. If you look on my timeline, you'll see that I posted James's struggle sessions. And I've listened to that audio about 3 times. And that's actually the reason why I decided that I was going to back you, is because when you hear the struggle sessions, what you see is a person who's coming into a board meeting, hasn't really done anything really that bad, with his tail between his legs. And what he doesn't realize is he's walking into a theater, essentially, in which the outcome has already been predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
And once I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, how can you back somebody that's power hungry? They didn't build that. You did.
What is that? What is that rooted in? Is that because I think the struggle session is something they say. Well, this isn't a struggle session, but you see in the film, The Truth Inside Veritas, that they don't want me to actually respond to any of these things. So it's rooted in this Maoist philosophy, this Chinese punishment. This, you need to feel abused and tortured by us, which is the farthest thing from any American concept of justice. One of the greatest ironies of my life was to see people who are ostensibly right-wingers behave like communists. I mean, these are not unknowing people. Skakel has an MBA from Harvard. Tierman studied economics at the University of Chicago. These are not unknowing people. But it also showed a profound lack of wisdom. And is it rooted in the distinction between knowledge and wisdom, Zach?
I think it's rooted in ego and being able to craft an internal narrative for yourself that makes the actions that don't make sense to the individual. And in a way, I almost can't even blame them, right? Because some people are just built that way. And, unfortunately, you were surrounded by them.
Well, Zach, thank you. We got a couple that people want to get to before we call it in 15 minutes. I appreciate it, Zach. Let's go to the next caller. This is Mike. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
How you doing, James? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'd love your response to The Truth Inside Veritas Part 1.
Well, honestly, I did not watch The Truth Inside Veritas Part 1, but I hear you guys talking about wisdom and envy and jealousy. And as someone who has came from nothing and made it, I've watched the people around me, get envious and jealous in the workplace. And I think that has to do a lot with human nature. And first off, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you do and the balls that you've had to get up and go investigate all this stuff that's been going on in this country that half the other people have no balls to get up and do, that they've been afraid to get online and speak the truth. I get it. A lot of people have been censored. They've been taken down by the system, and I think you're an example of the system trying to take you down when you try to speak your truth. But and this is what they do. They try to get people to come and speak up against you. They try to take you down any way they can. It's a why them, not me mentality in the workplace. I don't know about this Veritas thing, but I heard the kid crying that somebody yelled at him, his boss yelled at him. My boss used to yell at me every day. I mean, that's business. That's how it works. There's a difference between reprimanding somebody on the job and telling them what to do. And,
Thank you for the comment, and I hope you do watch it. You can watch the 12-minute excerpt on our X page. We've posted a whole video explaining, but I want everyone to watch this movie and support us at O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. Please subscribe. It's $9. People say, why do you charge for journalism? We're entitled to your stories. You're not entitled. That's also a communist argument. You're entitled to my labor. No, I'm not talking about you, sir. I'm talking in general. People make comments, but well, let me just finish. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I want to point out people don't understand what you're doing. You can't do it on your own. You do need black SUVs. You do need protection. You're putting your life in danger to expose the corruption.
Well, did you see the people on the rooftop for our private event in Palm Beach? We had guys look like Train de Aragua. They had masks on. People say, you're DJing. Yeah, I'm DJing with Train de Aragua guys. 4 or 5 bodyguards, bulletproof vests. And by the way, people say, well, you shouldn't have fun. You shouldn't have joy. You shouldn't dance. Okay, what do you want me to do? Be in a cave and be joyless? Yeah, there are definitely a few days or a week or so where you kind of sit back and say, I'm in danger, but you also have to send a message. I appreciate your comment. I want to get to a few more people. Let's go to the next person up. I appreciate that. Oh, and by the way, before I go to the next person, yeah, he's right about one of the questions I have. This is a rhetorical question. Are the people at Veritas who have all these very bizarre and strange resentments and envies, what are they going to do at their next employer? You can't behave like this in any organization. Let's go to, who do we have up next? Died suddenly. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hey, James. This is Edward Zoll. I'm one of the producers for Died Suddenly. I appreciate kind of seeing you and getting to work you a little bit at the party.
Yeah.
And listening to this space has been quite something. I think you mentioned this to Alex Jones prior to the exchange with this Christian fella, is that it's so difficult to fund and operate media on the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's very long hours. The sponsorships are not as lucrative. We don't have Soros money sitting around the corner for everything. And I found one of the most intriguing parts of this is that you look at what was sacrificed over the last couple of years, especially since going back to your time at Breitbart. I mean, you're one of the founding fathers of the kind of dissident, non-establishment right. Many people, including myself, kind of came up and after you already had set the tone. And just hearing Christian, I had no idea that one of the ringleaders in this is working at OAN now. I was looking at his profile. I was like, holy crap.
Christian works at One American News?
Maybe not. In his profile, it says he's one of the producers for Chanel Reno. And, it just makes me ponder. So you got some very talented people working for you, and I just wonder, where the rest of them have, scurried off to. And as you just noted, who are they else about to sabotage? And who else are they about to unleash the same kind of thing that they did to you? The same coup, the same kind of...
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a legitimate question. And it really... did you watch the Truth Inside Veritas?
Yes, I did. And the boardroom was honestly the most shocking part. I think what you just mentioned about the Maoist kind of tone to that whole thing is that you went in there and it was a firing squad.
Firing squad.
You did your best. No one can be criticized. What the heck are you supposed to do? There's no manual.
Well, we're speaking to someone who's actually watched the film, and for those of you who have not watched the film, this film is behind our paywall. We are publishing some excerpts on X page, 12 minutes or so, but he's talking about the part of the movie which you can watch by going to o'keefemediagroup.com. It's $9. Where we actually play the video and audio from the famous board meeting on February 6th. And you said it was a firing squad. Just talk to me about what your reaction to that was. You heard the testimony of the employees about sandwiches and I'm a mean boss and some stuff like that. What was your reaction to that stuff?
Well, I think you were actually very measured in it. I mean, I can just to set the tone. These people were your friends. You'd provided for them. You'd worked tireless hours, put yourself in danger to provide resources and to fundraise. Like we say, fundraise. I mean, you have to literally break 10, 15 national stories, to get to where you could fundraise $20 million a year. It's not any small thing. Not anyone can do that. And then the very same people are essentially setting you up. They're setting the tone and setting the stage for a legal battle. Well, that's what that boardroom kind of stunk of, is that they were just trying to throw things at you. They drug up whatever they could drug up, and then the ultimate goal was to get the response. Maybe they wanted you to have you melt down worse. Maybe they wanted.
I think that one credible advisor said they were trying to get me to lose my temper. And what's ironic about that is,
I think that's correct.
The more people get angry and hostile towards me, the calmer I get. It's like when I'm confronting bad guys, I'm extremely calm. And I didn't lose my temper. So they had to come up with some very strange, truly surreal, bizarre things. It's wrong for me to have a car transport me to meetings. I'm not sure how I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Uber carpool myself. I don't know what the thinking is. But let me ask you a question. You seem like a smart man. Do you think this is just human nature, bell curve distribution? Or do you think, and I don't want to give you a false dichotomy, if there's another option, is it human nature that we're witnessing when people are put under pressure? Or is it, something else?
I think it's not so much human nature as much as it is the right wing attracts a certain persona, a certain character or person. There's a lot of very courageous people on the right. There's also a lot of really dysfunctional people that have emotional problems, anger issues. They're incredibly good at what they do, but they don't always play well with others, and they also are not always used to playing on a team. And then part of playing on a team is you don't always get a win-win. It's not always the best case scenario. Being on the team is about the team winning.
So you're saying people on the right it's more common amongst teams consisting of so-called right-wingers?
I'd say that's part of it. And then the second is that I think the right, especially the last 10, 15 years, it's become less religious, more power broker, more politics. And the issue with that specifically is that we get away from, I think, the core mission. I think many of the people on the right, just to speak broadly, we wouldn't get into as many fights as we get into if we just can remember who our original enemy is. It's Satan. And none of this other stuff really matters. I mean,
well, we had a bunch of atheists at Project Veritas who...
Really?
Yes. I guess it's illegal in New York State to ask whether you're a Christian when you're hiring, right? So the world is so screwed up, It's like... it's very... I think this movie... I'm going to make a comment here, I think this experience, having gone through it, it makes you question everything. It makes you question God. When the people the closest to you, at least temporarily question God, everything, your whole world collapses, and people are lying about you and betraying you and stabbing you, any other comment you want to make about the film or something that struck you about it before we go to the next caller?
I appreciate you letting me talk. And the only thing I'd add is just that I hope through it that you haven't lost your faith, and I think it was commendable that you stayed strong and you stayed upright. And most people would have just came.
Well, I did lose my faith temporarily. I would say that the word I would use is discouraged and disheartened. Discouraged, and Jordan Peterson talks about this type of betrayal being the worst hell on earth a man could possibly feel. But that's temporary, and you got to keep going. Never give up. But it's been nice talking to you. I'll hope to talk to you one-on-one more. Okay?
Take care.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller. Who do we got, guys? All right. Anwar, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Is it Anwar?
Yeah, that's correct.
Anwar, how you doing today?
I'm good, James. How are you?
We're talking about The Truth Inside Veritas Part 1. Have you had a chance to watch any part of it?
I'll be honest, I have not, but it's something I'm going to be doing definitely tonight after I finish with this stream that you're on.
What's your reaction to what we're talking about today with some of what you've heard?
So I mean, it honestly sounds like a lot of collusions going on, and there are a lot of assets involved to try to re-guide the focus and try to make you seem like you're generally somebody you're not, and it's a tactic used generally as a psyop to try to manipulate a lot of your followers' beliefs that they have in regards to you.
Well,
and this whole thing going back with Christian going back and forth with you was just a smokescreen, and how Christian came out guns blazing talking about. I mean, the first thing that Christian opened up with was you inviting somebody on a boat with chocolate-covered strawberries, dildos, and sex toys. It made absolutely no sense. It was an attack, and it was the whole purpose of that was to get everybody to look at you like, oh my God, he's an animal, and he doesn't respect women, or they're just trying to paint this picture of you, when in reality that's probably the only thing they have on you. And with the board members and their IT department, pretty much infiltrating your data and exposing intimate text messages and among other things is a tactic used by a lot of these big tech, billionaire, trillionaire groups of people to mentally break you. They try to gain hold of you and use you and toy with you like a puppet by doing things like that. And for the fact that, you stood your ground and continue to, report and bring truth to a lot of people is what you're generally characterized by.
Well, thank you for that. We've got some really, listen, as I listen to you and I listen to the other gentlemen, I assume you don't have an MBA from Harvard, correct? I shouldn't assume that. I shouldn't assume that. Do you have an MBA from Harvard?
I would like one, but I don't have one.
Do you have a master's degree in economics from the University of Chicago?
Unfortunately,
Okay.
I don't.
But what I'm hearing in the voices of the callers is the wisdom in their voices. These are not necessarily academics. And my conclusion from the episode, not my conclusion, my analysis is that there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
And you have some really knowledgeable people that were sending me these pornographic obscenities and publishing medical records and conflicts of interest, but they weren't very wise. And I'm reminded of a Nietzsche quote, if you gaze into the abyss also gazes into you. What he meant by that is he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And I've seen a lot of my colleagues, former colleagues, their actions are that of monsters. And maybe they need to find God if they are atheists. Maybe that would help them. Let's go to another caller. Thank you, Anwar. Let's go to Diamond.
Absolutely, thank you.
Let's go to Diamond. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hey, what's up, James?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your? Have you seen The Truth Inside Veritas?
I've seen the trailer on YouTube. I haven't seen the film that's on your website.
And what's your reaction to what you've seen so far?
It's pretty diabolical. The way people will go out of their way to undermine you in any organization.
Well, is it human nature? Is it just the people I selected? Is it, I don't know, I guess you have to watch the film to answer that question, but would love any reaction to what you've heard so far on the show.
It might be human nature. I think maybe people's conflicts of interest kind of come into play after a while, but they don't really, I guess they don't have to let you know about them, but I'm not sure about the legal side, but I think over time, conflicts of interest.
Over time, conflicts of interest, we tend to fight human nature doing this at OMG and Project Veritas and Citizen Journalism Foundation. The preservation to the instinct for self-preservation often comes into conflict with doing the right thing. And as you expose the truth, and anyone who's done this in the 20th century and before usually gets killed, assassinated, or crucified, the more truth you tell, the worse it gets, to quote Al Pacino from The Insider. So I think you're right. Another bit of wisdom. By the way, we have a critic, someone who has a different, I always try to be fair, I want to hear both perspectives. This is Mike Mack saying that I'm lying about the board meeting invite. Go ahead, Mike. Tell me your perspective and why you think I'm lying.
Well, no, I should have elaborated a little bit on that. If he could have phrased the sentence right, he would have been able to prove that you were a liar. Or not. I'm not saying that you're a liar, but what he had was an opportunity, because about the board meeting, and just based on just the facts, by the way, and I have a lot of respect for your word, James, but if you were not invited, if you were invited to this board meeting, but you did not attend, that is a conflict there. Like someone is lying in that particular situation.
I see.
And so what I'm saying is he could have proved that you were lying if he could form a coherent sentence. But you didn't.
You're talking about Christian Hartsock could form a coherent sentence.
That's correct. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. And but you didn't follow it up, and so that's ambiguous to those of us who are listening, because that seemed like he was.
Yeah, it's like he was going on a, what do they call that in the Senate, where they just talk at you and not filibustering. So that's why I had to mute the mic, because there's no way to have a dialogue. I can respond to that and tell me if you think this answers the question that he posed, which was, which was that when on February 6th board meeting, they suspended me for 2 weeks and said, you're not allowed to talk to donors. You need to take a mandatory leave. And okay, I'll be gone for 2 weeks as requested. And then while I'm on this mandatory leave for 2 weeks, which they mandated by corporate bylaw, then they requested me to come back to work to attend a board meeting. And I was put in an untenable situation, right? Because if I did come back, then I would be violating the previous directive. That's how I saw it. And I think it was quite irrational. So I decided to follow their original directive, which was don't contact any donors and don't, they told me to be gone for 2 weeks, which is what I followed their direction. And that's what my attorney advised me to do. So I followed the legal directions I was given. And I think the whole process is quite irrational, and that was more of this in the movie, The Truth Inside Veritas. And then on February 10th, they indefinitely suspended without pay, which under New York law is being fired. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, that does make sense. And I think that playing that conservative is probably the best bet on your end. But I think for people like us, we go back to the days of Project Veritas, and we would look forward to these the videos that you produce, right? And everything seemed to be cohesive. It's like we could tell we're building towards something. Every day, every time an undercover video or whatever it was that came out, we knew that we were getting information. And so when we see these conflicts between these sides that we know are just like, it's not doing anything productive.
But this is where I disagree with you. A lot of people would say, and I think it's a smart thing you're saying, but I like to say, well, don't get into the weeds on this. Focus on the enemy. Okay, now bear with me what I'm about to tell you. The enemy is within us. The enemy, I don't know who this enemy is. Focus on the bad guys. The enemy is within us. Pride, greed, jealousy, envy. It's actually within us. And don't tell me you're not the greedy. It's always the other guy that's greedy, right? No, we all have an aspect of this inside of ourselves. And if we can conquer that, then we can change the world. The problem with, I think I've seen, the communists, so they have a lot of mission-oriented. If you go back to Whittaker Chambers, if you go back to Douglas Hyde, the book he wrote about communism, these people they profess more belief often in their faith than Christians do in Jesus Christ. So I found that the fight is within. And that's why I think this is a story worth telling, because you can't expose corruption if you don't have the right people that are engineered to fight the conflict within themselves. And that's what this story is really about. You can't have a team of pirates, going after Pfizer and the FBI if they don't have integrity, because it'll just collapse. And that's what I think the next stage of this battle is, right? So thank you for the comment, Mike. I'm glad we could clarify at least some of that. We're going to answer a question posed by Mario's team, a question answer on the air. This is a person nervous to say this, but I'm going to answer it. They're anonymous. They say, the intimate text messages that were shared about James and his girlfriend, this is an ex-girlfriend of mine about a year ago, Kyle Seraphin, the FBI agent. By the way, hint, hint, that might be part 2, 3, 4, or 5 of the series. Kyle's going to have a nervous breakdown when he hears this. I don't care. He's a Fed. He's a disgusting, nasty Fed boy, and I'm not afraid of him. And he's a punk, and he's a loser, and I will get those unredacted affidavits, so help me God. But anyways, the intimate text messages that were shared about me and my ex-girlfriend, how were those obtained? This is the question posed to me. Someone doesn't want to post it, but I'll answer it. How were those intimate text messages obtained, and what was the purpose of them using them against James? I don't know why someone would publish intimate text messages. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, James O'Keefe publishes undercover videos all the time. No. I have never gone into someone's master bedroom and recorded them having sex or recorded them talking to each other about intimate moments. I think the First Amendment does not include protections of spouses or consenting adults talking sexually with each other. There's absolute no purpose to publish that or record that, unconsenting information. It's illegal. Revenge porn is illegal. Zero-party consent recordings are illegal under federal law. I don't believe in bugging people's bedrooms. Why would someone do that is the question. I don't know how to answer that. I'm not a psychologist. I think they thought, so you're asking why would Kyle Seraphin publish intimate moments between me and my girlfriend that he was not a party to? I decline to comment. But some of these people are hurling homophobic insults at me, and some have said that that was a projection of who they are. So if you're constantly calling someone a, quote, faggot, and you're constantly calling someone, quote, gay, maybe, just maybe, that's what you are, okay? And that's my response to that. The first part of that is, how did they obtain them? They were obtained when they fired me. They got my cell phone, and they were able to extract, messages from Telegram, which was synced between my personal device and my work device. So, unfortunately, they were extracting information that was synced between devices. It's one thing to obtain it. It's another thing to publish it. It's unlawful. It's a tort. It's tortious. You can't do it, and that's what I'm suing them for. I hope that answered the question. Any others before we adjourn? One or two more? What's that? Malloy Strickland? Malloy, go ahead. Malloy, you're live. Go ahead. Unmute yourself. No? Okay.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Well, I've been a fan for a while. I really like what you do. And I didn't see the movie, but of course, everybody heard the news that you had been fired from there. And I was like, have they lost their mind? I mean, James O'Keefe is Project Veritas. This is not, I mean, you founded the thing, and it didn't make any sense to me. I can't understand why they thought that could stop you by doing that.
Yeah.
That never made any sense to me.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't make any sense, and we're hoping to make sense of it in this movie, The Truth Inside Veritas, which is streaming on our website. You can go to O'KeefeMediaGroup.com and purchase it for $9 a month. This is a subscription. People complain about us charging for some of our journalism. They complain about, they say it's immoral. My response back to you is this. Do you pay for Netflix? Do you pay for Apple, iOS? Do you pay for cable? Have you ever paid for cable news? Do you pay for any type of news? Do you buy a magazine? Do you buy a movie? Do you stream music? Do you pay for a movie off of Apple? This is a legendary film. And I'm not even the one, I wrote some of it, I put some of the exhibits together, but the guy who produced this did an incredible job. It's a cinematic masterpiece, and it might be some of our best work. And we've shown you about 12 minutes of it online for free, but the full hour, you're going to have to pay $9. We got sued last week, by the way. Do you know how much lawyers cost? $500, $700 an hour. I'm not sure how people expect us to pay those attorneys. And should I put another hater on? Do we bring one more hater on, or are you guys done with the haters? I feel like haters are fun. I like haters. Let's see if this guy has the courage to speak up. Let's see if this guy... The official B, are you there? You're on mute.
James, we have your soul.
See, this is demonic behavior. Can you use your real voice, or do you have to run it through a Oh, he canceled. That was one of the Project Veritas people. That was, I believe his name is Brandon. You just heard a demon live on the... Did you guys just not hear that? That was...
Who was that? Who was that?
That was Brandon, the guy from Michigan. Security. His code name is Security.
Oh, my God.
You just heard a demon, a demonic possession, and RC were exorcising the demons. live on the inside with James O'Keefe. Can the demon please come back? I want to hear more. That was exciting. You never know what's going to happen. I think we got to, my colleagues are saying, I rebuke you. The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. You just heard an exorcism live on this show. One of the former Project Veritas people got demonic and was spewing demonic activity. What's next?
Shadow of Ezra?
Oh, Shadow of Ezra is requesting to come on. We're going to add him as a speaker. Go ahead, Shadow. You're a speaker, and you're unmuted. You're live on the inside with James O'Keefe. Go.
Thank you very much for having me. Is it okay if I ask an Epstein-related question? If not, I will turn my mic off. It's your space.
You can ask me whatever you want. I just can't talk about sources, methods, or what's coming next. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to make it really quick. I was listening to your spaces earlier, and you said you were getting inside information from these Epstein videos from somebody in the United States government. So my question is there a possibility that we'll receive some sort of information from you that will possibly reveal a name or two of an Epstein client list or something along those lines? That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you.
That's a great question. For those of you who are YouTubing, Instagram, you're looking at video inside Epstein's kitchen. Shadow of Ezra was asking about what's coming out next. You're looking at video inside of Epstein's library. This is what Rogan covered yesterday's chalkboard. We got a lot of attacks for publishing this. I don't know why. Do they not want me to publish this? I don't know why people attack me for publishing. I guess they think that there should be more. We want more. Well, okay. Well, we're working every day, day and night to get you more. Let me answer your question this way. The people that came to us with this footage inside Epstein's library and bedroom were inspired because we published the video of the Prince Andrew banging underage girls audio. And a lot of you guys attacked me for publishing that. You thought it wasn't big enough. But I remind you that what citizen journalists need to do is publish one story. That leads to another story. That trusts sources to come to me. That trusts the other source to come to me. And I am speaking to sources inside the United States government. And they are telling me things I can't report yet because I have to verify that it's true. Now you might say, well, publish everything you know right now. I will not do that because I don't want to lie to you. And I don't want to publish something that I can't ascertain if it's true or not. I have to get the recordings. I have to get the evidence. So that takes time. But I'm very inspired by the fact that people are coming to OMG and Citizen Journalism Foundation, and I know that there will be more. And I hope that I can deliver the truth of what you guys want. I believe that will happen. I do not trust the government, and I think I've met Kash Patel. I think he's a great guy. I mean this sincerely. I think he's a genuinely good man. I also think the same of Bongino. I don't trust the institution that reports to them. And to kind of take this full circle, we all don't really trust the FBI, right? Project Veritas was an institution I created out of my father's garage. I sweat, I bled. I was raided by the FBI, I was arrested by the FBI. I was sued dozens of times, spent 3 years where I couldn't leave my house without talking to my probation officer. And I bled and sweat and I built it and they stole it from me. And they removed me from my own creation. And it kind of leads me to believe that all institutions in American society have basically become institutionally corrupt and incapable of delivering to you the justice and the truth that you demand. So the answers have to come from people on the outside like us. So when you comment at me and attack my team for not doing enough, when the guys sitting next to me are working 20 hours a day and our undercover reporters are literally risking their lives going on dates with corrupt people, my response to you is, why don't you step up and join us? Why don't you do the job? We're doing everything we can. I'm sorry I'm not doing more, but I will do more. Stay tuned. Look at this. This is a picture of the phone of Jeff Epstein and all of his closest speed dials. The FBI did not give this to you. The Department of Justice did not give this to you. This was given to you by an individual who doesn't trust the government, so they gave it to O'Keefe Media Group. And whoever that is, I can't say who that is. They'll have to waterboard me. They'll have to torture me for me to give up who this is. If the United States Supreme Court were to order me to reveal my source, I would tell the Chief Justice, Your Honor, you're in error. I shall not reveal my source, because we have integrity, and that's what they trust. And that's why I want you to join our team at OMG, apply to work for us. You have 3 ways you can get involved. You could come work for us, you could donate to us, or subscribe to watch the film The Truth Inside Veritas, $9, O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. And number 3 option, you could do absolutely nothing. So with that said, I have to wish you good night. We're going to be on Patrick Ben David's show in the morning in Fort Lauderdale, and hopefully other shows in later in the day, Tim Pool Live. Stay tuned. God bless America. And I'm going to pull that demonic clip up because we saw an exorcism, and it was really cool. Have a good night. Peace out. Bye-bye. Thank you.